Why? Well, because of our nature, all of us fall short. We've all sinned. And so it's good to know here that there's this genetic disposition of death that's passed on to all men, and we all suffer the side effects. Now, some of us are going to say, wait a second, I think one is blaming us for Adam. It's not really my fault. I didn't do that. It was Adam who did that. Keep in mind that there are certain genetics that are passed on through the descendants who've gone before you. Some people have blue eyes because someone in their family had blue eyes. Some people have brown eyes because someone in their family had brown eyes. There's a passage, and I want to share it with you, and it just kind of gives us a basis of what we're trying to determine here through the descendants are, get, in a sense, what has gone before continues through their descendants. There's a passage in Hebrews chapter 7. You guys know about this. It begins in verse 9. It goes all the way over to verse 20. But I want to read to you just a section of this because it makes this statement where all of a sudden in talking about Melchizedek, talking about these things, but in verse 9 it says this: even Levi, who receives tithes, paid tithes through Abraham, so to speak. For he was still in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him. So as he kind of makes this statement here in Hebrews 9, or 7, 9, and 10, we begin to look at here, there's this point where Levi, even though it was Abraham who paid tithes to Melchizedek, because the people paid tithes to the Levites, and the Levites paid tithes, in a sense, through Abraham to Melchizedek. It says what? The Melchizedekian priesthood is superior. So in other words, the Levites were greater than the rest of the tribes. Why? Well, the tribes paid them the tithes. They gave them part of what God says that this is their due. The same thing when Abraham gave a tithe to Melchizedek, then he's saying that somewhere in Abraham was the seed for Isaac. Somewhere in Isaac would be the seed for Jacob, and somewhere in Jacob would be the seed for all those for Levi, and then on and on. And so he talks about the descendants already being in Abraham. And so he says, listen, his descendants were what? They were accomplishes or accomplishes? Accomplishes. There's a word. Accomplices. No, I'm saying it wrong. They were guilty of doing what the other person did.